I don't think Fnatic is a team that really wins 2v2 that hard. They're a good 2v2 bot lane, but it's more about involving Razork and that Mikyx-Razork combo that makes the magic happen.
And when it doesn't happen, there's not a lot of magic. Hey, we fixed the audio issue, but there's another one.
Wait, hold up! She's a liar!
I am such a liar.
Okay, so a little Draven ban, classic against Hansama. Probably going to be followed up by Kalista ban from the side of G2, I would presume. Yes, it is. And then the Pantheon, actually, he's going to be picked out by Fnatic. They don't want to first pick it. What do you think about that, GB?
Yeah, well, I think it still leaves open options like you talked about. ESC is one thing, but also Yoning, that was something they banned themselves on red side. Something you can lean into and build a composition around. I liked your point around Sejuani, high priority too, so there's still lots of options there.
Yeah, and they ban out the Aurora as well. That could be setting up for a Gwen first pick in my head, now that Rumble, Jax, and Aurora are out. Or it could be a Yone first pick.
I mean, this comes down to their priorities, right? I have seen some Gwens be punished when it has been B1.
Yeah.
I've also seen it come back. Thank you, Merwin, yesterday for that performance.
Oh, they actually decided to go for the Azir with the Yone ban.
Humanoid on Azir, I'm so surprised.
I mean, the thing with now, like the best answer into Azir is the Talia, but it's already taken out. So you're kind of forced to go either this like assassin all-in comp with something like the Akali or the Sylas, or you go just another control mage to try to bully it out in the early game. Because if the Azir gets the 3, 4, 5 items, the champions become such a menace because he has everything in his kit.
But this is also with a way that I think we all want to see a bit of a redemption performance from Caps.
Yeah.
He played it against BDS, he played it against GX, and to not very great success. I know they just had a very good first game here. You're looking at him to see him kind of redeem the faults he had in his past series.
And Caps was kind of the first person to bring Hwei out in the LEC. I remember when it came out, he wasn't really a high priority, and then Caps started dominating on it.
Humanoid was also good on it, so he knows the matchup very well.
And then it's going to be the Sin style lock-in for SkewMond, so very strong mid-jungle 2v2. And I think G2, they really want to try to punish this Azir early on and get Caps ahead.
But I don't really know for Fnatic, like, you got the Sejuani up, doesn't pair too well with the Azir, but it still gives you that team fighting and easy identity that we're talking about. But there's also crazier picks that you can go in and actually fight the priority from the mid lane with the 2v2.
Yeah, I like something like the Naafiri or the Wukong, some AD jungler that can actually fight the early game. We saw Elioya with great success on it. And it's an overall champion that has been big success overall, I'd say.
I think because of Razork, no. I seem to remember, wasn't he the first jungler that brought it out and they got stomped in that game?
Yeah,
but it wasn't his fault.
True.
It wasn't his fault, doesn't matter. Forever in my mind.
And there it is, Gwen on 3. Yeah, you mentioned it earlier as well, Jack.
Yeah.
Jack's already out of the table.
Yeah.
So the best answer is already gone.
Yeah, I'm curious if they want to go for something like the Akali, or if they want to go for just like a Bruiser to match Gwen later on. I think, for me, the only person that scales that insanely on the Gwen has been Merwin.
Yeah.
He was hitting those ultis like they were point and click.
You said nobody else actually hits them.
Nobody is. We can see this game. We can count and see how many
have a tracker.
Oscar hits.
I like the Rell on 3. Alistar's out as well, so that just means that one of the better players into that is gone.
It's coming back.
Oh. Wait, what is...
It just dropped and came back up because we didn't actually denominate that G2 already won a game.
Ah, fair enough. Well, there it is.
There now.
But yeah, but I do like Rell on 3. Alistar's gone, and now you have the opportunity to just ban out the worst matchups.
And it's Labrov on Rell. I mean,
his career stats have been kind of good on that champion too.
It's kind of his best champion, so I'm glad to see him pick it.
Warwick ban is crazy into Gwen as well. I'll be honest, I don't know enough about Warwick's matchups to know how good they actually are. But it's a nice respect ban to BB.
He has all good matchups into melee champions is the vibe I get, but just into range he struggles. But it's interesting to see the prior kind of rise, and I don't think I've seen it anywhere else in the world. Got a little own thing, Warwick thing going.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what support Mikyx will decide to opt for here. In general, what bot lane they want to go for.
I was thinking about the same thing. Like, what is it that Draz really want? Because I mean, you don't have the strongest frontliner in the top side, so you kind of need a bit of
any frontliner.
Yeah. What do you... Is this a Jhin angle?
It could be Mr. U, aka Mr. Useful, not useless.
Yeah, it depends on the game.
So I think Jhin could be great because you really want a lot of setup from the side of Fnatic. And then a kind of tanky boy for Mikyx. But the problem is that Alistar's out, who you'd really want as your main frontline. But maybe something like the Leona could be great. But into Kai'Sa, you don't really want to play the Jhin, so it's a tough spot here for Fnatic.
I think the same thing.
Tristana could be an angle here for upset, or the Xayah. Those are the two picks that I'm definitely thinking of.
But what is Mickey thinking of? Is it a Nautilus into this one? Yeah, well, possibly that as well. But let's see if he can be the antagonist or protagonist of that story.
Oh.
He decides to go for the Jhin. It's not the most favorable matchup into the Kai'Sa. You do win early game, but Kai'Sa can always ult on you later on. And when you're standing still ulti, this is an incredibly hard to play call from Fnatic here. They are 5 squishy champions with a ton of burst, but with no front line and very, very little CC.
And 1 game away from having no victories in Madrid. So that's when they decide to play this comp, JackSpectra.
Yeah, it makes me worried, and I love this Galio top answer. I think it can really absorb the engage from Fnatic very well.
Yeah, not only that, I love the skirmishing power that you're getting from G2 as well. 1 CC, you know, SkewMond finding a pig in the jungle, Galio on top of it, Kai'Sa to come around. Like, if you are not respecting G2's tempo as Fnatic, you're gonna die, and that's already quite complicated when we've already mentioned that their composition's a little bit hard to play.
All right, and said again, G2, they really got some confidence I can only gather from that first game, and Fnatic, their momentum is probably in the dumpster, so they probably think if we can pull this off,
they can pull anything off.
Otherwise, we're simply going home. Let's see, I believe our casters will be ready in Berlin. Thank you so much. Any last notes on this draft, you two?
If Fnatic win, I think it's going to be a 2-1 for Fnatic.
What are you going to do if they win with this comp? You going to do something special?
I don't know. I didn't think about it. I'm choking it.
We'll think about it. We'll think about it. Or we'll leave it to Drakos and Dagda.
Yeah, if Drakos has any ideas?
Yeah.
That's a great question, Jack Spectator. Time to get your skin in the game, buddy.
Maybe that's it. He has to shave his hair.
Oh, yes, no hair. He loves his hair. I vote no hair.
Yeah, I
you are in the chat or on social media, please let Shocks, Goldberg, or Jack Spectra know. It's the things that we value most that we must put on the line for a bet. And I know for a fact Jack Spectra loves his hair. Struggle to pronounce hair there. There's a lot of letters.
We let that go. We let that go.
Okay, but to his point,
yeah.
If you're just joining us, why would he say if they win this game, 2-1? It's because this draft is insanely hard to play. And their last draft was insanely hard to play because it was kind of bad, but this one is insanely hard to play. And while I also don't love it, like, you can envision the path to victory. It's just that the path requires you to be a top-level LPL or LCK team.
Well, even, like, the teams that do play it tend to have something that, like, facilitates it in the mid lane. You have an Ahri, or I personally tend more towards, like, a Ryze, where it's, like, the point-and-click CC, which is just guaranteed to set up the Naafiri. But you don't have that here, so trying to play through mid to look for early kills is going to be pretty tough. I do think the best version of this right now with the... Oh, hang on.
Flash forward. Upset cleanse. Might be forced to flash as well. It's going to be okay. So aggressive level 1 here. Labrov wants to get as much damage down as possible, knowing that it doesn't really get easier for the Rell, as Mickey will hold on to that range advantage and just continue to harass.
Yeah, has the Hex Flash, though, so could try and Hex Flash out of this bush if he wants to and look for the all-in on towards upset, but at least being able to contest the level 2 somewhat okay. They will obviously fall behind, but not in the worst of spots here.
Yep. Hex Flash forward, not going to burn anything. Mickey staying calm. We'll see if there's any kind of level 2 all-in, but in the meantime, top lane. Broken Blade getting aggressive on his level 2. Early levels, not surprised to see him winning out on some of these trades. Gwen's going to need a few levels under her belt. Phase Rush just to make sure they can get in and out on those quick trades. Okay, so back to comps. G2, look, I see what they want to do. They got long-range artillery combined with a Kai'Sa dive. And the Hwei's a little awkward here, I'll give you that. The Hwei's a little awkward. Everyone else wants to dive in, right? Simple, straightforward. Fnatic, kind of, some people want to dive in, some people don't want to dive in. It's a bit of a mixed bag. It's all kind of context dependent.
I think a lot of it is going to revolve around this Naafiri pick, which is we need to invade. And in theory, the way you do that is by having pushing lanes. And in theory, bot lane should be a pushing lane for you. But the way G2 played that early game actually means that you don't really get it. And you aren't really having much control over the mid lane at the moment either. So finding these moments for Razork, which I think he needs to invade, play for pushing SkewMond out of the game, and having that support from his team isn't really a thing. And you don't really have set up in the lanes either. Like, maybe around bot lane, but even that's going to be tough. So I think this Naafiri pick is just kind of useless in the position that she's in, and I don't really see the value that it's going to add. So I think for G2, it's going to be fairly simple to just play this dive comp into everyone on Fnatic that is going to be kind of caught out by it. And I don't think there's much backline threat for Caps to really be worried because he's just severing bolts from a million miles away.
Is an option. The Galio as well. Historically, Galio as a mid lane option back in 2019 in the Silas Akali era was always really strong because that taunt, similar to Jack's Counter-Strike, if you hold it, even if Razork pushes his little intangibility and vulnerability, it might not be enough. So we see SkewMond now a bit in trouble, forced to flash away. So a positive early look from the side of Fnatic. And again, individuals can be the thing that makes the difference here. We have to call it out, right? Humanoid on Azir. Shock sounded not very excited about it, and it's because she's seen it a lot. But the thing that we have to mention is it's because he's good at this champion. It's an OG Humanoid iconic pick, and if Razork can pop off on this Naafiri, we saw how good Elioya looked yesterday. He did lose that game, as you reminded me, but he did look really good for the parts that they were winning the game. So there's still some room to make the composition come together.
Yeah, it's just like when I see this pick work well, it's because it's like gifted a ton of early kills, and then it just snowballs out of control. Even like in matchups where it's like, oh, we have the Gwen top lane, Gwen is gifting to kills the Naafiri. That's how like critical it is for this Naafiri to get rolling, and I just don't really feel like it's going to be here as Labrov. Early roams once more, but matched by Mikyx.
Good match by Mikyx. Now upset, isolated in the 1v1 against Broken Blade. Battle of wave clear. Galio should be able to keep that pressure. And classic, you mentioned it in the previous game, we've seen it a lot, right? This 5-minute swap, 4.5-minute swap. G2 and Fnatic have both used this extensively. And this time at least Fnatic partially matching, sending Mikyx up. But it is a bit unfortunate. I think G2 do get the better of this swap in the end because like you want your Jhin Neeko to get value in the laning phase. You don't want to let Labrov just skate through like he did in the previous game, be this team fight monster.
But I think it's also the fact that because you've moved Mikyx to the top side now to cover with the melee top laner, you're now losing the push there. You don't really have the opportunity to, yes, you like win push as Upset, but trying to invade as Upset and Razork is not going to be a good time against Broken Blade is about to take over the 6 and SkewMond. So in this position, even if G2 aren't winning out massively in the play, they're still winning because they're nullifying what Razork.
Crashdown. Heal came out there for extra movement speed. I think they have kill pressure on Hansama. Barrier forced. Oscarinin already used the Mistone. He might just get cut down. First blood. Easy pickup. Mikyx now running. There's nowhere he can go. He can flash. Sends back to bars, and Hans flashes over it. Quick double kill. And I don't think we're getting to game 3, folks. It's falling apart fast. Razork trying to make the difference on the bottom side, but the rest of G2 is already backed away. They know they're on the weak side. They're not risking anything.
I don't understand going for the all-in, though, on top side. Like, you don't have level 6 for Oscarinin. Like, if you cleared this wave and then gone, I could have seen it. But, like, this is really weird. Mikyx out of position. You don't really get much. Like, yeah, you get some damage onto Hansama, but I don't even think that Tango bar's really hit. Like, Hansama's got barrier still. Like, there's very little that you can do here.
Perhaps miscommunication around barrier being up, if we want to give them the benefit of the doubt, or more optimism about what abilities were and weren't going to land. But the second that mist is gone, that's a tough exchange. Gwen doesn't have an item. But the terror Gwen doesn't start for a while.
And I was going to say, even if you had, like, Ghost or Exhaust or Ignite, like another, so because Ghost you can keep toe-to-toe with Hansama when he's using E to buy that space. If you have Ignite or Exhaust, then you can definitely win out of the fight, but not hitting 6 and also not having then the combat summoner spell there was just really strange to me.
In a situation where they prioritize this early Gwen, they prioritize what is considered by most to be a power pick, and it does have an individual gold lead, but we can see, one, it wasn't laning against the Galio at that point, but what we can see is that the cost of that is that Hansama is now about 600 gold ahead, has a BF sword. Looks like it will be the crit Kai'Sa. There is a lot of magic damage, so it makes sense, but definitely not Jack Spector's favorite build, and I'm inclined to agree.
But I think it's also sorry, not about the build, but the fact that you lose out on top now means G2 gets three groves. Now they're rotating their bot lane back down to bot side, and they're going to be able to get Dragon. Like, these are now kind of the snowball effects off of that misplay from Fnatic. And sure, Upset has the experience lead in the bottom side. He can maybe try to look to bully through that level advantage, but it's not going to be very easy to do, especially with BB having that level 6 open and available.
It's also tricky. I mean, look, Humanoid has kept mid pushed in Fnatic's favor for most of this early game, keeping caps low as well, so he can't really participate in the fights. Will now reset. He's going to be spotted out there by the clone from Mikyx. So far, really, really quiet early game. Again, the big plays that have come through. Aired on the side of G2 is Humanoid now caught out. Q there, severing both their quick flash from Humanoid. The grasping Maw will not connect, so he just walk away, but they get the flash.
Still, just getting control over mid, and it's just for the Dragon, right? You can see the pings going down on it now, and the quicker reset from Hansam on top side means he's uncontested on the push in bot lane. So Upset will be able to farm under tower, but it means that G2 gets the Dragon. So two big objectives in the early stages already going to G2, even if they're not getting this massive gold lead like we saw in the last game.
I think one thing that will be different in this game, however, is that even if G2 get a lead, they won't quietly win. They got a lot of dive threat. It's going to be very explosive as Oscar tries to find the all-in, forces the flash out of Broken Blade. One more skip and slash. Not going to come out. But we do see that as time goes on, Oscar will be a bigger and bigger threat. Oh, I feel in my bones he's going to go for a dive. Yeah,
I don't know if you have the damage.
I don't think he should, but I feel it in my bones.
Because taunt as well, giving you magic resist.
Ooh, okay, he's fancy with it. Split fight, meanwhile, bottom side, Razork calling out the extra dogs. Baha Men reporting. That's the kill! I felt it in my bones! I didn't think it was going to work, but apparently it will. Now Caps is moving in. But Gwen, what's the timer remaining on the mist? Flash forward from Caps. Grasping, has the mist, walks away. These are the kind of plays that Fnatic need. Upset with the 4-shot, though, has now been pulled back. SkewMond ready to get things kicked off. That's the ulti going in for Razork. Intangible for a brief moment as he manages to step backwards. Zhao out fading. 4-shot there for Upset. Big damage onto SkewMond. Humanoid from behind. They surely stick around for this one. Razork ready.
Curtain calls ready.
Dashing forward. One finding the bleed. Second dagger connecting. Labrov in trouble. Razork getting the kill. Upset. Not going to get anything but two over to the dog in the jungle.
And you can hear the crowd. Fnatic coming alive when it started to look like it was slipping away from them. Oscarinin with the outplay top. And Fnatic outplaying in the mobile bot lane as well.
And I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to happen.
No.
I was ready. I was Mr. Doom and Gloom himself. After that bot play went so poorly, I thought that had to be it. But the mental fortitude, the confidence, Fnatic not phased by fumbling when they were down a game, keeping this one going. And that was without Humanoid for most of the play, who should have been their only strong points. The Naafiri, 2-0-0. The fight well played. Can they keep this momentum going?
But I think this is where we were kind of talking about, like, that's what you want to see from Fnatic, being able to play around Razork on looking for these early skirmishes, and the fact he managed to get 2 kills off the back of that is massive for the Naafiri and being able to continue pressuring in this game. I think we're already kind of seeing it again, like Mikyx now starting to get these deep wards, getting a better understanding of 1, when camps are going to respawn, and 2, where the hell SkewMond is on the map, so you can actually start to be a bit more of a nuisance.
Labrov trying to decide if he can pet that dog. The answer is yes, but there's no point. Yeah, it's a fake one, sadly. Look, this is now they're good, right? We didn't know how they were going to get a lead. It didn't seem super viable, but now they found one, and this is where the comp feels pretty great. They've got good pick tools. They've got poke. They have some control over the bottom lane. Humanoid's doing well in the mid lane matchup, which was the case before they had this lead. Now what can they get done, though? Because G2 still managed to get the first 2 objectives for free.
You're still getting a good amount of plates, though, on the bottom side for Upset, which is at least nice for him. It's not really answering for the gold, though, because you've already got the 2 kills on Hansama, but it is just him free farming, which is actually evened up. Like, a 0-0-2 Jhin should not be this close to a 2-kill Kai'Sa.
No, shouldn't be the case. But then again, we have a 1.3k individual gold lead for the Gwen, and she hasn't completed an item yet. So I imagine that when people go back to shop, the scoreboard, at least, will look very different. I think one of the downsides for G2 in the position they are with the AD Kai'Sa is that if they do start to fall further behind, this has been brought up a few times, right? The hybrid build Kai'Sa, the AP Kai'Sa, pokes really well. She scales really gracefully regardless of game state, whereas AD Kai'Sa really wants you to be in a winning position. Needs to be able to auto-attack in fights, which against a Fed Naafiri and a Gwen, you know?
Yeah.
It's not an easy task.
Yeah, I think, though, like, you're now in a position where Fnatic can actually contest for topside groups off the back of having that early success in the bottom side. SkewMond, though, looking to contest, and Humanoid is bottom lane, so...
This was bold from Razork. They didn't have mid push, and top push was in favor of BB, so he'll take 1 away at least. So denying the feet for objectives and 6 grubs, but not going to be able to get anything else other than that.
Yeah, I thought Humanoid was sticking around in mid lane to enable push to then come across and help them take them, but he started to shift to bot lane, so trying to set up upset in the mid lane as well, or instead for Fnatic, was more their call. But it does mean it is 5 now of those groups for G2. They're not in lanes that innately get big value out of it. Like Broken Blade will continue to lose to Oscarinin in a side lane, and it's kind of difficult for Caps to make full use out of it, but it just means that if you ever are trying to set up for an objective and you leave, say the Kai'Sa alone on the top side like she's at the moment, she can start to rip through these towers very quickly.
Oscar there to cover. So at the end of the day, the trade really was giving more time to Humanoid to farm bot lane uncontested in exchange for 1 plate topside and the grubs. Pretty important that they did steal away 1 at least to stop 6 grubs from going over, as Oscar needs to be careful here. Not expecting the cheese, does drop the ward though, respects it anyway. Now turning back with the ulti. Oscar decent damage. Labrov now in trouble, TP on the way in, SkewMond here as well. That's the miss taken out. Mikyx running forward. Be able to get anything, that's the ult to flash forward. Manages to lock him too. Humanoid on the way and he's gonna slide his way in, doesn't even need the ulti. Rest of the team watching them go down, but there it is. Shuffled out, but caught under tower, but still, he'll manage to live. Fnatic on the top side, dominating, and now the dogs all out of the bottom, chasing down a juicy looking chicken, but he's gonna fly to safety. I didn't know chickens could do that.
It's kind of lucky for Razork. You know, chicken bone's not great for dogs, but either way, Fnatic, that was fantastic. So pulling up to the top side of the map, Oscarinin using the slow from the needlework to enable Mikyx to get in range as well, burning that flash early, plus Mikyx even catching Hans Sama with the Pop Blossom. So you can see here, it's G2 trying to make the play, Oscarinin spots it out, but immediately it's all hands on deck, moving from mid lane to make sure you can get into position to cover for this. And now Mikyx, with the extra speed, Pop Blossom flashes it.
Another fight in the picture-in-picture, but important context there. You can see in the minimap, Galio Justice Punch, maybe 1/10 of a second away from canceling Humanoid's TP. Just the slightest of margin, allowing that fight to come through. Broken Blade backing away. Humanoid off to the side. Just gonna go for a bit more poke here, but the Azir getting scarier and scarier. And despite the 2-kill injection at the start of the game, Hans Sama dead even with Upset. Just giving more credence to what the devs talked about, right? Hans Sama definitely a flashier game overall, but Upset, very stable player.
Yeah, and I think this is where you will get to see kind of Upset show his stuff. The fact that you have the Jhin now, and you are in the lead of this game. It'll be G2 starting to come out and trying to fight back through a lot of these like choke points that are in the jungle, which he then gets a lot of value from Curtain Call and Deadly Flourishes and these kind of things, enabling Oscarinin to step up and really be that incredible burst damage Gwen in the front line, and just making it very difficult when you've got the needlework for people like this Kai'Sa to try and push up, to try and have any sort of impact in the game.
Yeah. And look, even without the initial snowball or the like gank support from lanes that we normally like to see from Naafiri when she finds success in other leagues, Fnatic found that first bottom side fight, and that really was the turning point in the game. Now we have this Naafiri who's in a much more comfortable position, despite G2 getting a pretty positive swap to the top side and a big overstep from Fnatic, making it look like we were going to get a carbon copy of Game 1. Fnatic weathered that storm, have a sizable lead, and this is where it just gets really tough for G2 to play, because as good as the Galio is into a lot of these options, the Gwen we know will be scarier, and the side lanes don't look easy. Hwei does a lot of things from very far away. Does not like to clear minions up close.
Definitely not. But I think as well, it's what we saw just before the pause kicked off. It's Fnatic kind of playing through, okay, now we have control. Let's move into this bottom side jungle. Let's steal away all the camps from SkewMond, make him more uncomfortable. Let's get vision down and deny G2 access to swing through their own jungle. And we can now play off of what is the push on bot side for Humanoid, plus also having that good control over mid thanks to Upset. It makes it just very difficult for G2 to defend the tier 2s, and once the tier 2 falls, well, now you're looking at, well, how the hell do we try and contest any more of these like Rift Heralds that are starting to come up, these other objectives that are in the game.
Of course, energy here in Madrid, palpable. taste in the air. And I'm in Berlin. You can see how jazzed people are. But we are still in a pause. Fnatic initiated a pause. As we get more information, we'll be sure to update you. But pretty much all the information we have is at the bottom of your screen. So potential bug reported, League officials now reviewing. As we know more, we'll tell you more. In the meantime, you can enjoy the sights, the sounds of Let's Go G2 chants running in the background. And I think they need that momentum, although they do have the advantage of a single game. And what's crazy is, as intense and hype as this series is, these are both our teams who lost on day one. How insane is that? GX and MKOI, the two victors. I don't think that was on anyone's bingo card except for maybe the Antonio and some people who were very big fans of Spanish League of Legends. And yet here we are, Rob. Crazy time. And
you're still fighting for the King of Spain as well. Like we put it up yesterday, it's like you get 3 points if you can 2-0, which we'll have to see if G2 can kind of manage that because they need some extra wins back on the board. But for the likes of MKOI and Giant X to kind of be sitting there and first and second tied is going to be pretty nice for yourself, you know?
Fnatic, a potential bug exploit has been reported to League officials who are now reviewing. Again, just reading the screen. As is usually, or is often the case, we'll wait for official investigation before we speculate as to what it was. It wasn't like a crazy state of game, so
yeah,
uncertain.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly what's happening, but yeah, I think it's nice to see Fnatic at least fighting back in this game.
Oh yeah.
Especially after the loss yesterday, like coming into this weekend, I was pretty hyped to see what Fnatic were going to bring to the table. Because, like, we were talking about the whole Duffman thing, but honestly, it's just like, this is the first time in a while where I've been able to look at Fnatic and see, hey, there is deliberate improvements in parts of their game. When it's, we're moving into a side lane before the objective sets up to clear out that side wave so we can have a better fight at this objective. Or we are deliberately having Mikyx cheat tempo on mid wave, so then he can get deeper vision and we can actually use that to find a pick, right? And these are the kind of things that, like, as an analyst, that I just get really excited about for the league, and especially when I see these teams. That's why I was like a big fan of BDS as well. Was back last year, you could see the incremental things that they were improving on, and I think that's the part for Fnatic that I was most excited to see. And I didn't really get all of that yesterday.
And
it just didn't really work out.
So. Can't quite read what's on the prompter, but I'll give you full context in a moment once we scroll.
So apparently Mikyx bought a restricted item on Neeko and has been forced to go back to base itself.
Oh, got it. There you go. So League officials, looks like technically an administrative pause then. There is an item not allowed on Neeko. I'm sure it's somewhere out there on the subreddit, but we won't talk about it here.
Yeah.
Not encouraging anyone to bad behavior.
Yeah.
But plenty of bug hunters out there, so. Regardless, continue forward in this game. An unfortunate mishap as it will cost Mikyx, I imagine, some gold in the process of selling it.
It was his support item, which means that I don't think he's actually lost that much gold. Because he went back and had the World Atlas, I think it's called. Basically the support item before you upgrade it.
Yeah.
So I think he's just gone back and sold the support item and now has the Salted.
There you go. Yeah. We'll leave the speculation for the rest of the world.
I don't know what the bug is. That's just
people can scroll back to the VOD, find out what they want to find out. For now, we're back into the game. We're Fnatic still in a damn comfortable position. You can see that gold lead is huge. It's a carbon copy of game one. It's just we've changed which team is insanely far ahead. The difference, of course, I think G2 have some angles to come back into this game. But with Oscarinin, Humanoid, and Razork looking pretty damn powerful, it's a tall task.
Well, G2 want to try and find that pick onto Oscarinin, but it is a Gwen, which always makes it a little bit more difficult. And you've got Mikyx trying to just see who you can fish out for. So, though, I think for Fnatic, they're in a fine spot. As you're saying, you play off of upset being able to push mid. Hasn't gone for the static build, which is okay.
All right, quick catch onto Oscar, pull back on the ulti. He's going to flash out. Hansama attempted to follow, push back on the bottom side as Humanoid getting aggressive onto Broken Blade, who will TP out, knowing that he does not win that particular fight, but also knowing that Humanoid just burned his one and only piece of hard CC, his only tool to interrupt that TP. Herald now using the bottom side. Pace of the game accelerating pretty rapidly. Fnatic, yes, they did not get the kill on the top side, but they're pushing in that wave, and they might be able to force that tower down, but Fnatic are still so far ahead.
That's why I like the play from Fnatic. Like, oh, actually, TP now top side. That might have been a mistake, Oscar did.
Oscar uses the miss. This time he's not quite so fortunate. He doesn't have a TP. Upset is on the way in. Mikyx here as well, but that tower is already gone.
yet you were already winning on the map as Fnatic. You were taking the tier 2 for the tier 1, fantastic. And then you can overload mid because you've taken the tier 2 quicker on the bottom side and look for the tier 1 in mid and gone for that trade. But Fnatic hard forcing on the top side of our Oscarinin means that Upset is now called up to the top side to try and help, and there's just nothing that they can do.
And I gotta wonder if you're just a little too much hype. You know, you're in front of this incredible crowd, you hear him cheering for you as a Spanish player. España. You know, you're getting the vibes, excuse me. About to just drop some swears.
Is that how you cheer?
España. Well, I don't speak Spanish. I could just say Fnatic. I mean, I've tried to, you know, whenever you say España as a non-Spanish speaker, it always feels like it should be said sexy. So I had to do it. Anyway, my point.
Pedro Pascal.
Where's Pedro Pascal? That's what we need. We had Mark Ruffalo Buffalo. Where's Pedro Pascal? Okay. Mickey, quick flash out. Look, ultimately, all I'm trying to say is that was questionable from Oscar. He has to chill, take a deep breath, because G2 happy to have that access back to the game, right? Now that gold lead starting to shrink a bit as G2 one tower after another, and they're trading across the map. Maybe Fnatic can respond with a fight here, but Humanoid just continues to be a demon in the side lanes. No one is going to match him. G2 setup on Drake seems to be what they're prioritizing here. But Humanoid is just hoovering up CS. This man is playing a game of hungry, hungry hippos.
Yeah, I think for Humanoid it works out well. He's getting the CS, but I do think for G2 as a whole, the fact you're getting these side lane turrets down does help out quite a bit. And like a lot of what you want is Broken Blade being able to play in towards mid lane off of a side lane push. So the fact you're getting these turrets down is fantastic. Now, BB still loses out, as you can see, to basically both of the side laners, but oh, hang on, Hansama.
Hansama, Labrov. Severing Bolt won't hit. Mickey is able to walk away. Humanoid still just poking. Otacon leashed. As Razork diving face first into Caps. Caps is where it gets tricky. Root isn't going to come through with the curtain call well. Flash to the side going in from Caps. Razork forced away from the tower. One more bullet. Where's it going to go? Nice footwork from Caps to stay standing. Crisis averted.
G2 covering mid as well with Hansama and SkewMond, so they won't lose the tower immediately as Caps will need to reset. Can teleport back out onto the fight, but Fnatic on Dragon, look like they'll be able to secure it after they were able to cover G2's attack on the top side.
Mickey. Cheating now. Clone giving him the vision. Still the Drake to the side of Fnatic. Cloud Soul certainly powerful on a comp with this much mobility as Labrov once again spotted out by the very convenient clone.
Razork also kind of hiding in this bot side jungle. I think he wasn't spotted on the ward, it's behind the wall, but they were fishing for Caps, who they assumed was going to move down and pick up that bot wave, but he's reset now to pick up his Gandry's Anguish on top of the Blackfire Torch. So Caps kind of hitting a spike, which is quite a lot of damage off the double burn items, but we'll have to see if they get a chance to really use it, because Otacon is kind of the only item that's up and available as of right now, and Fnatic are happy to just keep moving Razork around the map and trying to fish for these picks off of this strong Naafiri.
I mean, he's level 13, about to tick over to level 14. SkewMond is level 11, halfway to level 12.
But it's the two items as well. Like having that Black Cleaver, you so quickly rip through the armor. The cooldown is really nice as well for just being able to chase down people. But yeah, G2 are kind of just using this three-man squad of SkewMond, Hansama, and Labrov to try and chase different members of Fnatic and Razork around the map.
I mean, one of the really strong things they do have is this Galio taunt, right? Just stops almost all of that dive threat. If Razork tries to channel ulti, very telegraphed ability, so many tools to stop him from getting into the midst of the fight. Fnatic now taking control of mid. Oscar first push on that bot side wave, now moving up towards mid lane.
And that's what I mean. This is kind of the change that we've seen in Fnatic, whereas usually what you'd see around this time is, hey, we're going to push mid and overload one side of the map for Humanoid. But now they're just like, okay, cool, let's use the waves to our advantage, where push in on bot side, then we can hover Oscarinin out of vision, and now we set up for a play on mid where G2 can't really contest the wave until we know where Oscar is. But Oscar's now moving to mid to support Fnatic on this play.
Krug does spot the Hex Splash, stops Labrov in his tracks. Teleport, excuse me, not teleport, tower set up mid lane from the Sun Discs as Severing Bolt comes down. I mean, G2 are just getting, again, what a weird series. compared to yesterday, it was so back and forth. Game 1, slaughter in favor of G2. So far, Game 2, outside of that first fumble on the top side, where Oscar and Mikyx kind of overplayed their hand, Fnatic have just been winning every exchange.
And I don't think it's going to end. Like, the biggest issue for G2 is they don't have a way to contest sides. Oscarin's just too big at the moment. And even when you look at Humanoid as well, like level 15, halfway to level 16, you can't send someone solo to deal with him. And that's where we're talking about this like trio of Labrov, Hansama, and SkewMond. But now they're going to spot the Fnatic have just taken
coming, but they can spot. Ooh, they see SkewMond, know he's too far away. That's Voracious Otacon picked up. Oscar versus Caps. Massive slow onto Oscarinin. SkewMond now trying to follow. Oscar trying to heal as much as he can, but Caps has been rooted in the meantime. And in goes the dog. Caps, quick fear to try to survive, but Razork is ready to follow up. Everything they can do from Labrov, everything coming out, but it's just not enough to stop the pick. The reset's going in. Broken Blade finally here, but it might not matter because Mikyx, the perfect follow through, the 3-man. And all of Fnatic watches G2 fall to pieces. The triple for upset. Looking to make it a quadra, but Broken Blade manages to walk away.
Fnatic were mauled by the dog until they went up. Fnatic find everyone there. And now they will march towards this inhibitor.
No hair of the dog to save this one. Fnatic probably break open the base here as well. And that little ward recalling did manage to hit quite an impressive 3-man ult. And we mentioned it with this composition, the power that they have to dive. G2 don't have, it's not the Maokai Varus. They can't absorb the initial engage in the same way, much harder. The desk critical of the use of Maokai. And it's certainly a champion that G2 would have loved to have here.
It could have worked out well, but coulda, woulda, shoulda. Unfortunately, it's not the case. As Fnatic starting to get back onto the map, I don't understand how you're supposed to try and cover this as G2. Like, Oscarinin is in a good... Does end up overextending a little bit trying to get Caps, but that deadly flourish locks down Caps. Then you've got Razork who immediately follows through. And this is where G2 desperately try to hold on to everyone, but the reset on the ultimate from Razork giving access to Sam and Mikyx, take a bow, lad. That was beautiful. And it's easy then for Fnatic to just follow on through.
And I mean, with two compositions that are both happy to dive, it's kind of whoever goes for it first, right? Broken Blade wasn't in that fight at all. G2 immediately, once Fnatic start to play, are so split that they can't find their footing.
It's also the intargetability on Razork means he's able to play deep, but doesn't get caught out now.
First shot going in. Taunt still channeled, interrupting Razork for a brief moment, but now Broken Blade needs to get the hell out. SkewMond already dead. Reset on the ulti is there. Razork not going to risk it this time around. Knows that Baron is his prize, rightfully earned. Fnatic 10k up, 26 minutes. Might not be able to make up for game one, but they can try to outpace G2 in their win at the very least.
Well, trying to see if they can get on towards Caps here. Does end up just skirting away from that one. Dragon is available. Oscarinin.
Rob, nice initial engage. Oscarinin caught out by Hansama. Hansama starting to hurt, but Mikyx once again managing to find the 3-man. Goes golden, courtesy of the Seekers. In the blink of an eye, Hansama gone. Now Caps on his lone, so Broken Blade cannot peel. He just tries to justice punch himself back. Fnatic just keep running them down. Razork intangible, dashes over the wall, makes it look easy. The dog's now moving in. Black Cleaver fully stacked. Caps, the only person in despair here right now is him. Razork set to finish the kill, but forced backwards. The grasping maw, the passive, but no. Goes untargetable, and Fnatic upset dominating. Fnatic dominating. Looks like they'll just close it out here.
I was going to say, it's over. Fnatic, they just find pick after pick. Hansama performed a magic trick, and it's his Nexus that disappears.
And here we go, game 3. Wouldn't have it any other way. A classic LEC matchup going the distance as Fnatic fire back. Firing back doesn't feel like enough to describe how dominant that game was, but